bien fucking sombra.
This is Trump's America, a vigil for Charlie Kirk at the Idaho State Capitol, and somebody allegedly rode through on his scooter through the crowd yelling, "Fuck Charlie Kirk," and next thing, he was pummeled by 5, 6 other guys. Last I checked, we still have free speech in this country, or we're supposed to. Hi, my name is Suri Crowe, and you are watching the MeidasTouch Network. You know, I don't know how the temperature comes down from this. And it's not just about Charlie Kirk's assassination, although that clearly seems to have been some kind of boiling point. It's the America that Donald Trump and his wicked henchmen and henchwomen have built. Stephen Miller is calling Democrats terrorists, where it seems like daily our rights and freedoms are under assault, and that's because they are under this regime. We have a convicted criminal and a sex predator in the White House running a criminal enterprise of the highest order. So while I know I shouldn't be surprised at Trump's hateful rhetoric, I am still shocked by it, and you should be too. His comments from the Oval Office post Charlie Kirk's death were so disturbing to me, I can't even play them here. And the day of Charlie Kirk's murder, I scoured social media, and almost to a name, I saw all of our living presidents denounce the violence, sending their sympathies to Kirk's family, and Democratic leader after Democratic leader after influencer on the left send prayers and sympathies to Kirk's family. But over on the right, the complete opposite. Post after post after post from MAGA heads was just horrific, blaming the left, calling for an all-out war on the left when there hadn't even been a named suspect or any clues as to who committed this horrific act, declaring war on us when we didn't know who did this. Alex Jones, the man who tormented the Sandy Hook families by claiming that their dead children and loved ones weren't really gunned down, but were crisis actors of all people. He had a meltdown.
Steven Crowder is now exclusively reporting from ATF documents he got from the ATF confirmed that it was a trans shooter, they believe, because they found the rifle on the roof, right where we thought it came from, where everybody saw the person up there, left the rifle with all the trans carvings, just like the shooter up in Minneapolis a few weeks ago. And they've been calling for their days of rage. They have been building up. They're very suicidal. They believe it's everybody's fault, and they've got to go out and kill. And so that's who they're after right now on the manhunt. We actually believe we know who it is. There was an individual that said on internet posts and social media that something big was going to happen that day who was trans. That's probably the main person, but there's going to be a lot more of this, folks. This is literally a zombie army of killers, and they're totally brainwashed. This is
right, zombie killers. Well, Jones was found liable, by the way, for defamation of the Sandy Hook families and was ordered to pay them over $1.4 billion in a judgment, but has been hiding his assets and dragging appeals cases on for years because he is doing everything he can to refuse to pay these poor families that he tortured. So he's just a really, really stand-up, classy guy. And this is the guy who's calling for some type of justice. Sickening to me. You know, I'm not saying that we don't have some loose cannons on the left, for sure. But when it comes to domestic terrorism and hate crimes, the numbers do not lie. The right wing is responsible for the vast majority of domestic terror incidents, and that is according to the FBI.
By and large saying we all need to turn down the rhetoric. So let's be serious about where this violence is coming from. Of extremist violent attacks in America, extremist violent murders, 76% are from right-wing extremists, 4% are from left-wing extremists. I condemn that 4%, but we also need to be honest about, as a nation, about where this violence is coming from. And oh, by the way, it's probably an appropriate time to talk about guns, too. You hear a lot of conservatives saying, hey, the only thing we need to do here is get more guns on the street. That's not going to solve this problem. That's going to make it worse.
In fact, the numbers are over 80%. And the right-wing reaction to Representative Moulton's comments was like napalm lighting off. They were furious. They are incapable of having a measured discussion about facts. So again, I don't know where we go from here, from when one side refuses to listen to legitimate facts and won't have a logical or calm discussion. A reporter asked Senator Elizabeth Warren what we can do to turn down the temperature, and here is Senator Warren's very feisty answer.
Oh, please. Right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States? Right? And every ugly meme he has posted and every ugly word.
Yeah. It comes from the top. It comes from the top. We have a Speaker of the House who lies to our faces daily, a president who does the same. Trump incites violence constantly.
On the right as well, we have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem. And they're vicious and they're horrible and they're politically savvy.
I could show you clip after clip of him, beat the hell out of him, rough him up. But really, January 6th is all we really need to know about what a piece of trash Donald Trump is. You know, Charlie Kirk had a massive influence over young, impressionable minds. I mean, he still does, really. It's only been a couple days. But what he preached was hatred and intolerance for others. He did it with a smile, sure, but that doesn't make it right. And I'm not going to sane wash that. His viewpoints were radicalizing, and that is exactly what he wanted to do. That was his end game, was to radicalize America's youth, to take them from being liberal and open-minded. And liberal means, by the way, to be free, to open your mind to other viewpoints. And he wanted to put them into this very narrow viewpoint of men and at the top of a white Christian nationalist patriarchy that is intolerable of any other types. You know, I feel very sad that he met such a violent end. It's an epidemic in America. Gun violence is the #1 way that U.S. school children die, at least until RFK Jr. cranks up childhood diseases again. I mean, who knows? At the rate we're going under this crazy regime, it could be measles and mumps and polio that start taking school children out. But right now, and for many years, it has been gun violence that is the #1 killer of school children. And, you know, he mentions more security. That's what the right is always talking about, more security. Charlie Kirk had an entire security team traveling with him 24 hours a day. They were standing next to him when he was shot and killed. That did not save him from a single rifle with a scope. We all saw it with our own eyes. Didn't save him, did it? And now Congress members on both sides are actually discussing whether they should tighten up security at public events. Well, Melissa and Mark Hortman in Minnesota, if you remember, she was the former speaker of the Minnesota state legislature. They were assassinated in their home in the middle of the night, in their home, the place where you're supposed to feel safest. The same night, Minnesota Senator John Hoffman and his wife in another town over were shot inside their home in front of their daughter by a MAGA loyalist posing as a cop. This horror show, this man in this terrifying mask showed up at their doors in the middle of the night. And that's how the Hortmans and their precious dog were killed, and the Hoffmans were critically wounded. And, you know, while Charlie Kirk is getting a hero's memorial and Trump has demanded flags are flying at half-mast across the country, Trump never said one single word about the Hortmans and their dog Gilbert's assassinations. President Biden went to their funerals, but Trump didn't. And in fact, he said that he wasn't going to waste time giving Governor Walz a phone call even. President Biden showed up in the hospital rooms of the Hoffmans. Trump, nope, couldn't be flipping bothered. I mean, it is disgusting to me. We have more guns than people in America. We are sick and getting sicker here. And the sickest of us won't recognize that they are the ones who need the help the most. We found out that it was a young white male raised in a conservative, gun-loving family in extremely conservative Utah who allegedly assassinated Charlie Kirk. It wasn't somebody who was from the queer community. It wasn't a trans person. You know, the fever has to break. The question is how? I don't know. I don't have those answers. I just know that we are past the point of like, we're just in a very dangerous place right now. And I'm praying that somebody somewhere on the right, like, has a moment of clarity and says, we cannot continue to go this way. But it's not going to come from the Trump regime. I can tell you that much. All right. I will see you back here soon. Thanks for watching. And remember to be fierce. And man, I'm wishing everyone peace in this moment.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.